so look, today should be a day of great celebration. You know, we should probably be looking back and thinking, what an amazing 3 years we've had. Isn't this brilliant? We've embraced all of these Brexit opportunities. It hasn't really turned out that way, has it?
Well, I still feel great today because I'm very proud of what the British people voted for.
Absolutely.
And I think it's great that we do have a parliament that can now change our laws, could change our taxes and could spend our money wisely. But I'm still looking for that parliament to seize the initiative. It's extremely frustrating that so many MPs and the civil servants behind them resist every opportunity for an improvement, for a change in the law. Why haven't we got VAT off domestic fuel already? Why aren't we driving for a much bigger fishing industry as we take control of our fishing waters? Why aren't we using the freedom to put some money behind growing more food in Britain? We lost huge amounts of market share in the Common Agricultural Policy, and we should now be reversing that. I'm full of ideas on how Brexit can be great, and I need more MPs and government ministers who would just get on with it.
Absolutely. Oh, my goodness, I couldn't agree more. What an inspiring message. I mean, look, the problem is, John, you've obviously got the political establishment, the blob, the MSM. They are seizing the opportunity to do down Brexit. They don't take into account what happened with the lockdowns. They want to blame everything on Brexit. So you're right, this has to come from within the Conservative Party. Sunak obviously was a Brexiteer. He voted for Brexit, but he seems to have gone a bit soft. Do you think we can trust the Prime Minister, especially given he has a Ramona-in-Chief as his Chancellor?
Well, I want him to do well, and I will continue to give public and private advice for them to do better. But it's quite obvious we're missing so many of the opportunities, and those of us who are impatient for our country to succeed and prosper to a much greater extent, would urge him to live the brand and get on with it. And I think sometimes, yes, he takes too much gloomy advice from Treasury officials and Bank of England. And we haven't even broken free from the austerity-type economics, which was mandatory under the rules of the European Union. We're still hung up on debt figures and silly forecasts, which usually get it hopelessly wrong, instead of going for growth in a sensible way and having tax cuts that would actually pay for themselves, because if you grew faster, the deficit will come down.
Well, indeed, and I want to talk to you about the financial situation in just a second, but before I do, Rishi Sunak has sent an email to Conservative Party members tonight, and I've had a lot of response from your members who are viewers of this show, saying they're very angry that at the top of the email, Sunak claims to have taken back control of our borders. It feels very difficult to say that, doesn't it, John, when you've got 80,000 predicted to stream across the channel and what Suella Braverman, and I agree, has described as an illegal invasion of this country. So, yes, we could take back our borders, but it involves leaving the ECHR. You know, we haven't taken back control of our borders yet, have we?
No, indeed. And I thought the Prime Minister fully understood that, because I was very pleased when he made his statement of the 5 things he wished to do. Number one, I think, when he was ordering the priorities, would he had to get on top of the small boats and make sure people didn't undertake those unsafe crossings and then expect to be put up in hotels when they arrived in the United Kingdom. It's not good enough. It's not what most sensible people want. It's not what we voted for. And so I would urge the Prime Minister again tonight, just get on with it. You know what you've got to do. You've studied it. You need to change the law because the lawyers, so many of them, get big fees to try and thwart the wishes of the British people. So Parliament has got to make even more crystal clear the willpower of this government to stop the votes.
Get on with it, Rishi. Such a good message. Now, look, I want to talk to you about the financial situation. Yesterday in the Daily Telegraph, you said that Jeremy Hunt has become a slave to Treasury groupthink, writing that his aversion to cutting tax rates is stifling growth and failing to get inflation and the deficit down. And just like clockwork, today, Mr. Edward, the IMF predicted that the UK will be the only major economy to shrink this year as we look to enter a recession. So, I'm sorry, John, and I know this isn't a popular thing to say, but surely it begs the question, was Liz Truss actually right all along in her mission to focus on growth?
Well, of course she was, and I supported her. Unfortunately, she and her Chancellor went too far and upset the establishment of the Bank of England and the Treasury. And the Bank of England, I think, was should take considerable responsibility for the way the bond market behaved, which was what was meant to have been caused by the Chancellor, but it actually started with the Bank of England hiking interest rates and threatening to sell an awful lot of bonds at cheap prices, which was clearly destabilising to the market. So none of that was helpful. I mean, the good news is, we can share tonight, that the Chancellor himself says he wants a growth budget, and the Prime Minister has made growth one of his 5 aims. But my challenge to them is, if you're serious about that, you cannot do it without lower tax rates. And if you go for lower tax rates, particularly on business, you will collect more money. Every time we cut the corporation tax rate, more money came in. Every time we cut the top rate of income tax, more money came in. More rich people stayed here, more rich people ventured their money here, more rich people created more jobs here, and they paid more tax. What's not to like?
Totally agree. If only more current Conservative ministers had your verve, enthusiasm and passion for Brexit, I think we would be in a good place. But you have made me feel more positive, nonetheless, this Independence Day. Sir John Redwood, of course.
Well, we can do it, but we've got to persuade them, haven't we?
We do. Just do it, Rishi. Come on.
Easy, and we have to keep on arguing, and thanks for what you do.
Indeed. Thank you so much, John. Happy Independence Day.